The world's richest man has just ignited one of the most explosive confrontations in modern British politics. What began as a speech at the Labour Party conference in Liverpool has escalated into an international clash that's rattled Westminster and damaged Britain's global image. At the centre is Energy Secretary Ed Miliband, who used his conference address to deliver an extraordinary personal attack on Elon Musk. The billionaire behind X, Tesla and SpaceX. Miliband accused Musk of fueling unrest on British streets, encouraging the overthrow of the elected government and spreading disinformation through his social media platform. Then came the line that electrified the hall: "Get the hell out of our politics and our country." Delegates roared their approval, but beyond the conference floor, shockwaves spread quickly. Journalists and diplomats called it one of the most aggressive tirades ever launched by a British minister against a private foreign citizen, especially one who controls global communication systems and a large part of the satellite network used by Western governments.
In our jobs, and certainly this lot, most of them, pretty much all of them, public sector, unions, and nothing wrong. Trade unions have done wonderful things for workers over the years, but they just haven't been accountable to anybody, and now they're accountable to the voters, and they don't like it. But what do you make of Keir Starmer? I mean, look, let's just play a couple of clips, because I think it is important just to hear the words.
The speech didn't happen in isolation. Just hours earlier, Prime Minister Keir Starmer had attacked Nigel Farage, calling him a snake oil merchant who doesn't like or believe in Britain. The twin speeches looked coordinated, a calculated offensive linking domestic populists and foreign critics under one banner of threats to British democracy.
We can all see these snake oil merchants on the right, on the left, but be in no doubt, conference, none of them have any interest in national renewal, because decline is good for their business.
Miliband took that message further, portraying Musk as part of a worldwide movement aligned with Reform UK and Farage, a network supposedly working to erode Britain's social fabric. He described Musk as the embodiment of the threat, someone who incites violence, undermines elected authority, and thinks he can dictate how Britain should be run. It was meant to cast Labour as the defender of national sovereignty against outside interference, but it also risked turning a policy debate into a diplomatic crisis. The gamble backfired almost immediately. Within hours, Musk fired back on X, telling his 200 million followers that Starmer is an actor with an empty head. Others feed him the words to say. The post went viral, interpreted as an accusation that the Prime Minister was a puppet controlled by unseen advisors. Within minutes, headlines spread across continents. World leaders, investors, and analysts were watching Britain's government being publicly mocked by one of the planet's most powerful businessmen. The damage to Britain's reputation was instant. Commentators warned that the country looked petty and unstable, picking fights with global innovators instead of courting investment. Yet behind the spectacle lies a deeper feud that predates this week's explosion. The hostility between Musk and Starmer has been simmering since early summer, when the British government reopened a national inquiry into grooming gang scandals. Investigations tied to the sexual exploitation of young girls by organised groups over the past decade. Musk accused Starmer of political complicity, claiming he had turned a blind eye to abuse in exchange for votes in key constituencies. The allegation broke every rule of diplomatic etiquette and enraged ministers across Whitehall. Those wounds never healed. So when Miliband used the conference stage to single out Musk, it reignited months of animosity between the billionaire and the Labour leadership. What might have been a domestic policy moment has now become a geopolitical drama, one that threatens Britain's credibility abroad and exposes the deep insecurities within its ruling party. And according to insiders, this is only the beginning. Miliband's tirade against Elon Musk was supposed to show strength, a defiant stand against foreign interference. Instead, it's handed Musk the perfect weapon, his global platform. Within hours, the world's richest man had transformed Labour's messaging disaster into an online uprising. Social media turned into a battlefield, and Britain is losing badly. Musk's empty head insult exploded across X, generating millions of likes, reposts, and memes. The hashtag #NotYourEmptyHeadStarmer trended worldwide as users shared clips of the Prime Minister stumbling through interviews, glancing at notes, and appearing to read from scripts. The viral narrative is devastatingly simple: a weak, uncertain leader, visibly out of his depth. The fallout isn't just reputational, it's economic. American tech investors are watching the feud unfold and questioning whether the UK has become hostile to innovation and free expression. When the owner of X publicly declares war on Britain's government, it sends a chilling message across Silicon Valley. This isn't a country that welcomes entrepreneurs, it's a government that wages war on them. The so-called post-Brexit recovery Labour promised now looks like self-inflicted sabotage.
When was the last time that you heard Nigel Farage say anything positive about Britain's future? He can't. He doesn't like Britain, doesn't believe in Britain, wants you to doubt it just as much as he does.
Nigel Farage and Reform UK have seized on the chaos with surgical precision. They're branding themselves as the true defenders of British values, the adults in the room while Labour squabbles online. Farage has accused Starmer of dragging politics into the gutter, calling him unfit to lead a modern democracy. He warned that branding Reform supporters as racists could encourage radical activists and put politicians in real danger, a warning made chillingly real by the murders of 2 MPs in the past decade. Farage pointed out that his own security detail has recently been cut by 75%, calling it immoral and reckless in a climate of rising political threats. His message resonates that Labour's rhetoric isn't just divisive, it's dangerous. I don't agree with your policies, therefore you're a racist and a bad person. That's where we are now. It's destroying civil debate. Farage's counter-offensive is forcing Labour onto the defensive, leaving them scrambling to explain why their energy secretary is picking fights with billionaires while the cost of living crisis deepens. Reform, meanwhile, looks calm, confident and increasingly credible.
Basically inciting violence, not directly, of course, he's not done anything illegal, but basically saying this is an awful human being. Well, you know, when twisted people can justify then violence against someone because they're a bad person. Just in the wake of Charlie Kirk, we've had 2 MPs murdered. Murdered in the last 10 years, and numerous threats. I mean, numerous people are behind bars now for threats they've made to elected politicians and campaigners. Nigel Farage himself has to have security. His security has just been downgraded by 75%.
But this crisis now extends far beyond politics. It's touching the constitutional core of Britain's governance. When a cabinet minister tells a private foreign citizen to get the hell out of our country, what does that even mean in legal terms? Musk isn't a diplomat who can be expelled. He's a businessman whose companies employ thousands of Britons and whose satellites and platforms underpin much of the country's digital infrastructure. Could the UK actually ban Musk, restrict access to X, seize Tesla assets? Every option carries catastrophic diplomatic and economic costs. To act would make Britain look authoritarian. To retreat would make it look weak. Labour has cornered itself between 2 losing choices. And the cruel irony is, Musk holds all the cards. With a single post, he can broadcast every Labour misstep to hundreds of millions of people. Every policy failure, every scandal, every contradiction, amplified at light speed. X has become his weapon, and it's pointed straight at Downing Street. Meanwhile, the grooming gang scandal that originally ignited this feud hasn't gone away. Musk's accusations that Starmer's government once turned a blind eye to systemic child abuse for political advantage strike at the moral core of Labour's identity. Every time the Prime Minister tries to pivot to another topic, Musk drags the conversation back to Britain's darkest unresolved crime. Internationally, Britain's reputation as a stable, business-friendly democracy is crumbling in real time. Investors see a government that lectures innovators rather than partnering with them. Deals worth billions are being quietly reconsidered as the perception of political hostility grows. Musk's empty-head comment wasn't a careless insult, it was strategic. With one line, he reframed the story. The issue is no longer foreign interference, it's Starmer's competence, his independence, and his control over his own government. The image now cemented in the global consciousness is brutal. A prime minister portrayed as a puppet, flustered and defensive, facing off against a billionaire who doesn't even have to raise his voice to dominate the conversation. For Labour, the timing couldn't be worse. Economic growth has stalled. public services are buckling, confidence in government is collapsing, and now the leadership is entangled in a feud that makes them look vindictive and insecure. Just when the country needs stability, most Miliband's speech was meant to project authority. Instead, it exposed fragility. And Elon Musk, with a single sentence, turned Britain's ruling party into the punchline of a global joke.